Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a report from Virtualization Options LLC, a tech research firm out of Colorado. Now, this was written specifically for executives, not tech wizards, and it outlines a critical strategy for business continuity that honestly gets overlooked way too often. So let's just start with a question. What actually happens if every single phone in your company just goes silent, all at once? It's not just a bad dream. Today, we're going to explore this critical vulnerability and a powerful, often ignored solution that can protect you from it. All right, first things first, let's really understand the problem. Businesses today are incredibly dependent on cellular networks. But here's the thing. Those networks are a lot more fragile than we tend to think. And when they go down, the consequences can be, well, pretty severe. 10 million. That is a huge number. And it's not a guess, that's the actual number of customers who lost all service during that massive Optus outage in Australia back in 2023. We're talking about an incident that paralyzed an entire continent for more than 12 hours. It's a serious wake-up call that the services we take for granted can just vanish. You see, a major outage isn't an inconvenience. It's a domino effect. It starts a chain reaction where hospital communications fail, payment systems go completely offline, even emergency services become unreachable. And inside your own walls, your employee authentication systems can break, bringing your entire business to a grinding halt. Now this quote, this really tells the whole story. It's from a CIO who was right in the middle of that outage. They said, "We had entire departments completely unreachable despite having fully functional internet." And here's the kicker. The only teams that maintained voice communication were those who had previously enabled Wi-Fi calling. That one sentence really captures the night and day difference between being prepared and being caught completely flat-footed. And that brings us to these two very different realities. I mean, look at this. On one side, without Wi-Fi calling, you're looking at a complete communication blackout. Service stops. You can't talk to your customers. It's chaos. But on the other side, with Wi-Fi calling enabled, your critical voice calls just keep going over your internet connection. You're still getting those crucial SMS messages for things like security codes. Your customer service can stay online. It's the difference between a manageable disruption and an absolute catastrophe. And here is one of the most dangerous risks, and one that gets overlooked all the time. It's the failure of two-factor authentication that relies on text messages. Just imagine it. There's a crisis, your team is scrambling to get into critical cloud systems, but they can't, because that verification code will never arrive. You're locked out at the exact moment you need access the most. So what is this hidden lifeline? What's the solution? Well, the crazy part is, it's something that is very likely already built into the phones your teams use every single day. It's called Wi-Fi calling, and the report defines it perfectly. It's a native smartphone feature that routes calls and texts over Wi-Fi instead of a cell tower. Now, what's so important about that is this is not another app to download. It's not a new number to manage. It uses your employee's existing number, and it's built right into the phone's operating system. So how does it all work? Well, it's surprisingly simple. When your phone connects to a Wi-Fi network, it creates a secure encrypted tunnel directly to your mobile carrier's core network. Your calls and your texts then travel through this tunnel over the internet, completely bypassing the local vulnerable cell towers. And for the person on the other end, it just looks like a normal call from your regular number. And this isn't some niche experimental tech, not at all. It is a mature, universally supported standard. All the major U.S. carriers, Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, you name it, they fully support it. And it's built natively into every iPhone since the 6S and most Android phones for years now. The technology is already in your pocket. Okay, so this all sounds great in theory, but how do you actually turn this plan into reality for your company? The key, and the report really stresses this, is having a proactive strategy. You can't just wait for a crisis and then scramble to react. And this right here might be the single most important takeaway from this entire explainer. The time to implement Wi-Fi calling is before you need it. Once that cellular outage starts, it is often too late to turn it on. Why? Because the activation process itself often requires a cellular signal to verify your device with the carrier. You have to be prepared before the crisis hits. The good news is that this is a totally manageable project. The report lays out a very clear 4-step process. First, you audit your devices and your carrier plans. Second, you run a campaign to enable it company-wide. Third, you verify that it was actually activated successfully. And fourth, you test it every so often to make sure it's still working. Now, for this to work reliably in your office, your IT team will need to make sure the corporate network is ready. That means having a strong, consistent Wi-Fi signal everywhere, enough stable bandwidth for calls, and something called quality of service to prioritize voice traffic so it doesn't get choppy. And of course, you need strong security, like WPA2 or WPA3 Enterprise. Here's a quick but really important word of caution. You have to be aware that software updates can sometimes cause problems. The report pointed out widespread issues with iOS 17 that temporarily messed up Wi-Fi calling for a lot of users. This just reinforces the need for managed, tested updates and a regular testing plan. So let's pull all this together. Wi-Fi calling isn't just a single fix for a single problem. You should think of it as a foundational piece of a modern, resilient communication strategy for any business. This is what that layered strategy looks like. A truly resilient company builds multiple layers of defense. Wi-Fi calling is layer 1 for your native voice and text messaging. Layer 2 is your communication platforms like Teams or Zoom. A third could be cellular signal boosters. And the foundation holding it all up? That's redundant internet connections from different providers, so no single point of failure can take you offline. And getting this done is highly achievable. This isn't some massive, multi-year project. According to the research, most organizations can plan and roll out a comprehensive program within a single business quarter. That makes it a really high-impact project with a very reasonable timeline. Ultimately, the choice really comes down to this. The cost of doing nothing is operational paralysis, major security vulnerabilities, and potentially losing your customers. The benefit of taking action is business continuity, maintained security, and true operational resilience. It's about deciding whether you want to risk your business or invest in the tools to keep it running when disaster strikes. So we'll leave you with this question. Are you prepared for the day your network goes dark? Because the time to prepare is now, so your business can stay connected and stay open tomorrow. Thanks for joining us on The Explainer.